If you have a pontoon boat and you want to store it inside, but you don't have the headroom for the trailer and the boat, this might help you out. I made these 4 carts and got this winch that I'm going to mount on the wall to help me pull this boat inside for winter storage. I started by upgrading these. These are the old carts, 800 to 1,000 pounds per cart. The wheels are small, really hard to maneuver these things outside on the asphalt. So I upgraded to bigger casters. I got cleats on top of the cart to keep the boat from wiggling around on the cart while you're pushing the boat around. And then these casters, bigger wheels, are about 300 plus, 300 to 325, can't remember, per caster, which is like 1,200 to 1,250 per cart. More than enough for this. I have a guy drop my boat on the cart so I can clean it, unload it, and all that stuff outside before I push it in for the winter. I've been told to stay close to these welded seams on the pontoons with your supports. I don't know how much truth there is to that, but I've heard it from a few people. So I just try to stay close to them anyways. This is the electric winch I got, and it's going to mount to the wall inside, help me pull this thing in. It has to mount to the studs, so what I'm going to have to do is mount it to that 2x8 and then mount the whole thing to the wall. So I measured up from the ground to my eyelets here for the height, and then I measured to the middle of the garage door. It got me dead center. So this wall plate's going to hold me up just a little bit, which is okay. I'd rather be up a little bit than down. And then I'm going to mount it to the, cut my board and mount it to the studs, and then mount the winch to that. I put a level line on the wall for a guide, and then cut my board. I actually cut my board 4 inches long, which gives me I don't know, 1.5 inches, 2 inches on either side. Just a little more meat for the bolts to grab onto. Less risk of splitting. And then I marked my 16-inch centers for my studs. I am going to hit 5 of them across there to distribute the load from the winch. Pre-drilling these holes for my screws helps keep it from not splitting, and also helps you get your screws started when you're wrestling stuff like this by yourself. The winch mounts to the plate. The plate mounts to the board there. So it did come with some bolts and stuff for different applications wherever you're mounting it. But what I'm doing, I've got some deck post fasteners. I do have to locate that center mark, which I did. Put my plate on there and marked where the winch is going to be, and then I can proceed with mounting the board to the house with these flat lock. They're more or less deck post screws, post and beam screws. Plenty beefy enough for this. Put a nail off to the left so I could just butt my board to it. I guess I could have made a center mark or something, but this is just as easy. Butt to the screw and then hold it to the line, and then screw all my screws in. Up, down, up, down. I went back and put the other ones in after I got it tagged to the wall, and then I got started with the plate for the winch, which is I lined up with my marks, and I'm again using those post deck anchors. Like I said, they're plenty beefy, strong enough for what I'm doing here. So I went ahead and hit all 4 corners of this thing with those. That's going to be enough to hold this in. And then, excuse me. Like I said, that's more or less just to distribute the load across a bunch of studs rather than just 1 or 2. Pre-drilling for the mounting of the winch itself. I had to angle them a little bit just because you can see it's kind of weird getting in there. But I fed the cable down through the guide thing on the plate underneath. You could see, and then just put my last 3 mounting screws into the board there. They actually go into the house a little bit, but that's a release for the spool. You can pull it out and then push it back in. pull out and push in for it to connect. Here I'm doing a little test. I just wanted to see if it would pull this thing sideways. I got a board, scrap piece of wood outside there to protect the house. I just wanted to see if it would pull it sideways. This is actually sped up a little bit too, but yeah, it just like it was nothing. I had to use a come along strap. I forgot to bring something to span between those. So I got a come along strap out of my truck to help pull from the center. And then I got these little cleats things that I ripped to try to get over that bump. That bump seemed to be a big headache for me, getting this boat in and out. The winch has no problem pulling this boat, but the problem I'm running into is the come along strap was getting a lot of stretch to it. So it was acting like a rubber band. It would stretch and then it would pull and stretch and pull. So I had to wiggle this thing around a little bit. I kept having to move the hook on the strap to pull it, but I think now that I did it this first time, I'll remember to bring some chain or something next time. But other than that, I think this works great. Like I said, that come along straps get a little spring to it, like a rubber band when you're pulling on it. So I think a chain's going to do a lot better. Some different longer shims for this curb. Little bump there seems to be a headache for me, so I'll make some adjustments there for next year and get a chain so I can grab this thing in the middle. Other than that, this thing works great. Real happy with the new carts and the winch. I can do it all myself and not break my back, so I hope that helps.